I have been wed to Xie Zhaoheng for over a year, having just received the news from the physician that I am with child. I was presented with a divorce decree delivered by a servant he dispatched. As I poised my pen to sign, a series of words unexpectedly manifested in the air before me. Do not sign, do not sign. The male protagonist adores you immensely. Quick, dear, put down that pen. Oh dear, is the male protagonist's heart sizzling like oil on a grill after the divorce? The plot of elopement with a child is unfolding. Soon, you shall suffer the malevolent machinations of the reborn second male lead, leading to the tragic demise of your child. Blindness and amputation, culminating in a harrowing 100 chapters before a bitter ending, I exclaimed, this must not occur. Of late, I have been feeling unwell and lacking in appetite. I sent for a doctor, only to discover that I was pregnant. Just as I was about to send a maid to inform Xie Zhaoheng, his attendant arrived with a divorce decree. I gazed coldly at the document, my heart's joy entirely supplanted by sorrow. Would he truly forsake our union for that woman? If that is the case, I shall not entangle myself further. Let the divorce proceed. I picked up my brush, poised to write, when suddenly, lines of text materialized before my eyes. Do not sign. The male lead loves you dearly. Hurry, my darling. Put down that brush. Alas, is the male lead's heart sizzling on the grill after the divorce? A plot twist unfolds, leading to the reborn male lead causing the child's demise, blindness, and a broken leg, torturing him for 100 chapters before a tragic ending. My heart jolted. These words kept swirling before me. After this divorce, the female lead will be abducted on her way home by someone arranged by the reborn male lead. If she escapes, her poor prenatal care will result in an unhealthy birth and the child will perish before turning 1. Their reunion is fraught with melancholy, and after the male lead kills the male rival, he takes his own life in despair. Oh, the agony of supplementary medicine. When will the male and female leads clear up their misunderstandings? I am in such a state of anxiety. The mute shall not marry. Just the tropes of a tragic tale. If they could speak, the plot would falter. Though some phrases eluded my comprehension, I grasped the essence. I seemed to dwell within a tale. The protagonists they spoke of were none other than Xie Zhaoheng and myself. The identity of the reborn male lead, who sought to abduct me, remained a mystery. Yet, according to these words, should I divorce Xie Zhaoheng, my unborn child would not survive its first year, and my fate would be even more tragic. It appears I must not act impulsively regarding the divorce. However, I cannot wholly trust these words. They claim Xie Zhaoheng loves me dearly and would even die for me, but I know he has already given his heart to another. 2. I am the only daughter of the Grand General, while Xie Zhaoheng is the top scholar of the imperial examinations. That year, clad in a crimson robe atop his steed, he stood tall and proud, his sword-like brows and starry eyes reminiscent of a pine tree. From a tea house by the roadside, I caught sight of him, and in an instant, my heart thundered with excitement. My mother passed away when I was young, and I spent my childhood by my father's side. He once said that the children of martial generals dare to love and hate, and as long as it does not harm the heavens or the earth, they should pursue their desires. Thus, I penned a letter, hastily dispatched to the frontier, asking my father to petition the emperor for my hand in marriage. I thought that such a commotion would lead Xie Zhaoheng to be taken as a son-in-law by another official. To my astonishment, he steadfastly refused, seemingly unafraid of offending anyone. Ultimately, I was indeed wed to Xie Zhaoheng, through a marriage granted by my father. After our union, I learned from others that his refusal to marry any other woman stemmed from his heart being already claimed, and he was compelled to marry me by the emperor's edict. Consequently, during our more than a year of marriage, we treated each other with courtesy, yet he remained cold towards me. I knew he had no feelings for me. My pursuit had been a forceful one, yet a fruit forcibly plucked is never sweet. Now, he ascends the ranks with astonishing speed, having risen to the position of Deputy Minister of War within a year, becoming a favored figure close to the emperor. Initially, he refrained from taking a concubine due to status, but now, with no one to contest, he could even marry his beloved openly and make her his primary wife. I have long resolved that if such a day arrives, I shall divorce him and express my intentions to the emperor, seeking to return to the frontier to live freely. However, Given the ominous predictions of this text, I must not act rashly regarding the divorce. I nodded, preparing to set down my brush when the celestial text began to scroll rapidly. Why is Darling nodding? Could it be she agrees to the divorce?
Oh.
There's a sense of helplessness that cannot penetrate the screen. They clearly fell in love at first sight. How could it end tragically? Love at first sight? Aside from my initial glimpse of him, I had never encountered him before our marriage. What love at first sight could there be? I just came from the male lead. He has been weeping like a dog. Would he truly shed tears for me? Whether true or false, I must investigate. I set down the brush and made my way to Xie Zhaohang's study. 3. Upon my arrival at the study, Xie Zhaohang was seated, engrossed in a book. His expression was placid, embodying the demeanor of a refined gentleman, as gentle as jade. He bore no resemblance to the wretched figure described in the celestial text. Indeed, the words of that text cannot be entirely trusted. He looked at me calmly and inquired, "Are you here to bid me farewell, my lady?" Just as I was about to speak, I noticed a darker patch on his sleeve and the redness around his eyes. I am truly amazed by the male lead. Upon hearing the female lead approach, he hastily composed himself. What a pretender. Always pretending, this household has been entirely consumed by your charade. Unable to suppress a laugh at these remarks, I glanced at Xie Zhaohang. Upon hearing my laughter, his calm facade began to crack. His brows furrowed, and an inescapable sorrow surged in his deep-set eyes, his voice low and trembling as he said, "Are you truly so happy at the prospect of our divorce, my lady?" Male lead, 666, not a trace of salt left. Oh, male lead, please cry. Let my heart ache for you. The male lead seems to have lost his vitality. Through the celestial text, I gazed in astonishment at Xie Zhaohang's eyes. He had always treated me with kindness and courtesy, yet I had never witnessed such raw emotion from him. Perhaps the celestial text spoke the truth. Tentatively, I spoke. Xie Zhaohang, throughout this year of marriage, you have cared for me, and I am grateful. However, from this point forward, let us part ways and pursue our own happiness. I thought the female lead had changed her mind about the divorce, but she intends to declare it in person. The male lead is drowning in sorrow. If the male lead loves her, he must express it boldly. If he cannot, allow me to step in. Upon hearing my words, Xie Zhaohang, though striving to conceal his emotions, revealed his unease through the veins straining at his neck and his white-knuckled grip. Suddenly, a tear slipped down his handsome face, defying his efforts to suppress it. Oh, look at the male lead, looking like a delicate flower in the rain. Though the scene is inappropriate, the male lead resembles a coerced bride. Is this the moment for such proclamations? The male and female leads are on the brink of divorce, and the comments add chaos. They seem oblivious to the male lead's feelings. Have they not seen how the man is weeping? Right, speaking of manly, I wonder about the male lead's situation. I continued. I had intended to say it this way, but now. I fell silent, lowered my head, and produced the divorce decree, tearing it to shreds before Xie Zhaohang's incredulous gaze. There are some matters I wish to clarify. Why do you believe I would be happy with our divorce? For Xie Zhaohang stared blankly at the scattered pieces of paper, taking a while to regain his voice. A few days ago, you instructed the servants to tally your dowry. I also know that the second prince has returned from the frontier. You two have been childhood sweethearts. After our divorce, you would be free to be with him. Having learned your feelings, how could I confine you to my side, allowing us to waste our lives together in unhappiness? That is why I drafted the divorce decree, wishing to grant you your freedom. I was left bewildered. What connection did the second prince have with me? The second prince, Mu Qing'an, was indeed my childhood companion. The current emperor has but 2 sons. The eldest is the crown prince, but several months ago, he was dispatched to a fief due to allegations of conspiracy and is barred from returning to the capital. The second prince has long regarded my father as a mentor, following him to the frontier for military service. Between him and me, there indeed exists a bond. Yet it is far from that of romantic affection. A few years ago, my father successfully repelled the enemy forces, earning significant merit, which incited the emperor's jealousy. Consequently, I was compelled to return to the capital as a hostage. With the eldest prince dispatched to his fief, the capital was devoid of royal sons. prompting the ministers to suggest the recall of the second prince, who arrived in the capital a fortnight ago. Throughout these years, I have not exchanged a single letter with the second prince, nor have I encountered him since his return. However, rumors in the marketplace seem to suggest a childhood friendship between the second prince and myself, purportedly blossoming into mutual affection. I never anticipated that this would lead to such a misunderstanding on Xie Zhaohong's part. Meeting his eyes, still shimmering with emotion, I clarified, I have never harbored romantic feelings for the second prince. My recent inventory of dowry was merely prompted by hearing other ladies discussing recent burglaries. I wished to ensure that nothing had gone missing. But you, Xie Zhaoheng, have you not long desired to bring your beloved Lin Miao into your household? Xie Zhaoheng stared at me, bewildered. What are you saying, Huan Huan? When have I ever wished to marry Lin Miao? I retorted, do not evade the truth. She saved you in your youth, and you have harbored feelings for her ever since. It was only due to the imperial decree that you were obliged to marry me.
Was it not?
Xie Zhaoheng hastily defended himself. I have never held any affection for her, nor do I possess any feelings beyond mere gratitude. I pressed on. Then, why do you treat me with such courtesy? He lowered his gaze, his voice tinged with grievance. I feared you might dislike me, which is why Xie Zhaoheng, I am with child. A thunderclap on a clear day. The revelation struck like a bolt from the blue, leaving Xie Zhaoheng momentarily stunned. Did the female lead just say that so candidly? Good news! The female lead has found her voice, and so has the male lead. Oh my! Now that she has spoken, he will undoubtedly not let her go, which means there will be no escaping with a child plotline. How will the subsequent tormenting romance unfold? Xie Zhaoheng remained in shock for an extended moment, his eyes alight with immense joy as he hurried towards me. In his haste, he collided with the writing desk, sending the brush holder tumbling and ink spilling, yet he paid no mind to his usually fastidious nature. He stumbled to my side, raising a hand to steady me, but hesitated as if fearing to harm me, allowing his hand to fall gently. Huan Huan, is this truly the case? When did this happen? Why have you only now revealed it to me? For reasons unknown, I suddenly felt a surge of vulnerability and sorrow. My nose tinged as tears welled up. Xie Zhaoheng appeared equally unprepared for my sudden weeping, hastily reaching to wipe away my tears. I brushed his hand away, choking back my sobs. Today the doctor confirmed my pregnancy, and I received your divorce papers. Had it not been for the matter of the divorce was too peculiar. It was best he remain unaware. Had I not regained my composure, I would have already fled. Xie Zhaoheng's eyes brimmed with guilt and sorrow. Upon hearing my words, he enveloped me in an embrace, repeatedly apologizing. Huan Huan, I am truly sorry. It is all my fault. Please do not leave me. In the days that followed, Xie Zhaoheng visited my courtyard daily. Though I was still upset, I was unwilling to grant him a warm reception. The male lead truly believes he has orchestrated everything perfectly. Yet he has never inquired about the female lead's wishes. Isn't Chung Sui Huan merely believing what others say? Both husband and wife are like clashing wooden dolls. A tragic end seems the most reasonable outcome. With the plot now altered and misunderstandings resolved, surely a tragic ending is no longer in the cards. Yet, one must not forget, the second male lead is a bona fide antagonist, and who knows what schemes he may be concocting in the shadows. Indeed, there remains an underlying threat. Who exactly is the second male lead as mentioned in the text, and what machinations does he harbor? I resolved to seek answers within the pages of the tome when Xie Zhaoheng arrived once more. Upon entering the room, he instantly captured my attention.
Today,
he had abandoned his usual understated attire, donning a splendid cerulean robe adorned with subtle cloud patterns that danced with his movements. A gem-studded belt accentuated his tall, slender figure, presenting him as an exceptionally charming gentleman. Why this ostentatious display today? The male lead has finally come to his senses. How delightful. Such alluring charm. I could watch all day. Laughing out loud, just days ago, he purchased numerous romance novels to strategize on how to placate Huan Huan. Hello. I just threw this on casually, not expecting to be photographed. How embarrassing, please forgive me. Huan Huan, seize the moment. Let's indulge in some delightful mischief. This male lead's physique is undoubtedly remarkable. I wonder how he looks without his attire, oh my. These teasing words left me blushing profusely. I had not anticipated that the typically composed Xie Zhaoheng would employ such captivating tactics. I swallowed hard. It was impossible to resist. I was thoroughly enchanted by his appearance. Xie Zhaoheng seemed shy under my gaze, his Adam's apple bobbing as he turned his crimson face away, oblivious to the blush that had crept into his ears. After taking a few deep breaths, he faced me again. Huan, it is all my fault. I should not have believed the nonsensical words of others, leading to this misunderstanding. You are with child. Please do not let me distress you. My anger had dissipated significantly. Yet the opportunity to witness him in such a state was too precious to squander without a little teasing. I slowly rose from the soft couch and approached him, my lips brushing against his ear as I whispered softly, "Do you think mere words can soothe my ire?" Crimson crept rapidly up his neck, and his ears turned a shade that could bleed. Although we had engaged in intimate relations before, it had always been with mutual respect, never so audaciously. He responded in a hushed tone, "What else might my lady desire? I shall do everything within my power." I reached out to caress his moving Adam's apple. "What do you think is permissible only between husband and wife? The wheels of mischief are turning." Ah, Huan knows how to flirt. If you are a man, act upon it. Let me see, let me see, let me see, let me see, let me see. Suddenly, Xie Zhaoheng seized my hand, pulling it away from his throat. In an instant he entwined our fingers. With the other arm, he encircled my waist. I looked up at him, only to find his gaze filled with possessiveness and desire. Oh no, this was getting out of hand. I swiftly extricated myself from his embrace, turning my back to him and saying, "I was merely jesting. Do not take it to heart." Xie Zhaoheng abruptly grasped my arm, pulling me forcefully into his embrace. I pushed against his fervent chest, attempting to retreat, but he anticipated my move, one arm tightly securing my waist while the other supported my back. His eyes glowed with a deep crimson, and in a voice thick with longing, he murmured, "But Huan, I do not wish to jest with you." With that, he pressed his lips against mine, the kiss fervent and urgent. I felt dizzy from the intensity, and then he lifted me, gently laying me upon the bed before leaning down to kiss me once more. I hastily raised my hand to his chest, breathing unevenly, "My lord, it is still daylight, and I am already with child. It matters not. The doctor has said that as long as we are gentle, there is no issue. I will be careful." With that, he eagerly leaned in to kiss me again. Had he ever consulted a physician on such matters? I had no time to ponder. Clinging tightly to him as the room's temperature rose, the world around us fading away, leaving only the sound of our hurried heartbeats and heavy breaths. "My lady, the second prince has arrived, claiming he wishes to see you." Mu Qing'an, the second male lead, makes his entrance. "Dear Huan, you must exercise caution around him. It is he who kidnaps you in the narrative." To my astonishment, Mu Qinghuan is indeed the male lead mentioned in that ancient text, destined to relive his life. Having known him since childhood, we have never been adversaries. In fact, we share a bond of gentle affection. Why, then, would he abduct me and lead me to such a tragic fate? "Madam?" The voice of the maidservant roused me from my reverie. Regardless, I must first meet him. I steadied my thoughts and spoke in a measured tone. "Please escort him to the front hall. I shall join him shortly." Upon entering the front hall, I felt Mu Qing'an's gaze fixed upon me, a sensation that unsettled me. I furrowed my brow yet chose to ignore the discomfort, offering him a respectful greeting. "I pay my respects to His Highness, the second prince. There is no need for such formalities between Sui Huan and I. Given your condition, it is even less necessary. The second male lead is indeed handsome. Could they possibly be together?" Nevertheless, the reclusive, obsessive nature of the male lead is rather enthralling. Ha ha ha. Why do the comments always suggest the male lead should perish? Having just come from the male lead, he is aware that Huan's heart has already been shattered upon meeting the second male lead. I smiled wistfully. "Your Highness is indeed well informed. May I inquire about the purpose of your visit today?" Mu Qinghuan frowned. "When did Sui Huan and I become so estranged? In times past we played together often, yet now you address me as your Highness. In our youth, I was bold and reckless. Now that I am married, I must observe the distinctions of rank." After I spoke, I met Mu Qinghuan's deep gaze. He suddenly smiled. "Very well. My mother is organizing a garden party to welcome me back. I wonder if Sui Huan would be inclined to grace us with her presence? Your Highness is aware of my condition. The physician has advised me to rest, and I fear I must decline your kind invitation." Without the plot of the female lead's divorce, the male supporting character will undoubtedly resort to underhanded tactics to achieve his goals, though the story has already deviated. When he will act remains uncertain. It is best for the female lead to minimize contact with him. Indeed, while idle chatter is one thing, Huan must not entangle herself with him. The male supporting character is wicked, resorting to kidnapping the female lead to threaten the male lead. Why does Mu Qingyan wish to threaten Xie Zhaoheng? Could there be a history between them? Mu Qinghuan's patience was wearing thin, his voice chillingly cold. Cheng Sui Huan, you are now in the capital, not on the frontier. It may not bode well to repeatedly refuse me. Your Highness jest. I am merely concerned for my wife's well-being, and this matter should not reflect poorly upon her. I was unaware of when Xie Zhaoheng had arrived, but he now sat beside me. He took my hand and played with it absent-mindedly, saying, "Once my wife has regained her health, I shall escort her to the palace to apologize, and I hope your Highness will not take offense." Mu Qingyan smiled. I was merely jesting with Sui Huan, but seeing the affection between Lord Xie and his wife is truly envious. After finally sending Mu Qingyan away, Xie Zhaoheng began to show signs of jealousy. Why does he call you Sui Huan? His tone was rigid, yet if one listened closely, a hint of grievance could be detected. Before others, he is the unyielding Lord Xie. Behind closed doors, he is a jealous puppy. How sweet, someone bring me insulin. Hurry, the female lead should pat his head. How can she resist? I chuckled softly, reaching out to caress his cheek. Anyone may call me Sui Huan, but the title of wife is reserved solely for you. Huan is quite clever. At this rate, the male lead will be putty in her hands. If he had a tail, it would already be wagging like a blur. Once I had soothed Xie Zhaoheng, I inquired, "What grievances do you have with the second prince?" Grievances? In the original storyline, these two were locked in a deadly struggle. The male lead is the child of the emperor's favored woman, lost to the world. On the day of the palace examination, the emperor recognized him. Thereafter, the emperor cleared all obstacles to help him ascend the throne. Wouldn't you say that's quite a rivalry? The male supporting character failed in his bid for power in his past life and met a tragic end. Now he seeks to manipulate the female lead. The male lead's only Achilles heel. In the original plot, while the male lead did manage to eliminate the second male lead, the female lead's death left him heartbroken, leading him to abdicate the throne to a capable royal heir before taking his own life at the female lead's grave. I gazed at the ancient text in disbelief. So, it is true, Xie Zhaoheng is a prince. At this moment he began to explain, the second prince has targeted me since his return to the capital, likely envious of my marriage to you and our harmonious relationship. However, I am not concerned. He lifted his chin with an air of pride. Truly, love can cloud one's judgment. The male supporting character's attempts to frame him are mere trifles. Anything related to his wife transforms him into a lovesick fool. The male lead remains oblivious to the truth. However, according to the original plot, he will soon discover it. I smiled helplessly. The once cold and refined Xie Zhaoheng revealed a surprisingly endearing side. However, he remains unaware of his true lineage, and I cannot directly inform him. Fortunately, the ancient text indicates that the emperor will not keep the truth from him for long. Surely, the emperor is watching Mu Qingyan's actions closely since his return to the capital. If he truly intends to pass the throne to Xie Zhaoheng, he will not allow Mu Qingyan to act recklessly. Yet, I must prepare myself, wary of Mu Qingyan's hidden schemes. As my belly grew day by day, I learned through the ancient text of Xie Zhaoheng's thoughtful care since our marriage. I have a penchant for spicy food, and the meals prepared in the household have always been to my liking. I initially believed this was due to his similar tastes, only to discover through the ancient text that he prefers mild flavors and has adjusted his diet to accommodate my preferences. After meals, he would often hurry off, and I thought it was because he wished to avoid my company. In reality, he could not tolerate the spice and would sneak away to drink water without revealing his discomfort to me. Upon learning this, I inquired, and he blushed deeply, fleeing the scene in embarrassment. Henceforth, I instructed the kitchen to prepare dishes he enjoys. I also discovered that the garden I adored was designed by him on the day of our wedding, crafted overnight to reflect the style of the frontier, along with the flowers he personally selected and planted. Beyond these gestures, every aspect of my daily life, from the bed I sleep in to the cups I use, has been arranged after he carefully observed my preferences. Throughout my pregnancy, he has been considerate and accommodating, Even as I've gained weight, he has grown thinner from worry. Initially, his affection for me was like a gentle rain, silently nourishing my heart, but by the time I recognized it, it had surged like a tempestuous sea. Overwhelming and uncontainable. Madam, perhaps you ought not to attend. I shall inform the emperor in your stead. I smiled ruefully. It is merely a banquet. There is no need for such anxiety. Furthermore, the emperor specifically requested that you bring me along. Would it not be an act of defiance to decline? I have not ventured outside in quite some time. Today is a perfect opportunity to enjoy the fresh air. Xia Zhaoheng gazed at me with concern. Should you feel unwell? You must tell me. Today's banquet was held in the imperial garden, attended by trusted ministers and their families. The emperor departed midway through, leaving many officials to toast Xia Zhaoheng. Congratulations, I hear that Madame Xia is expecting. Xia Zhaoheng could not refuse the goodwill of his colleagues and was compelled to drink cup after cup. By the end of the banquet, he was thoroughly intoxicated. Just as I was about to leave with him, a eunuch from the emperor's side approached. Lord Xia, Madame Xia, the emperor has noticed that you have indulged in drink and has graciously provided a palace for you both to rest tonight. May you both receive the holy grace and rest in peace. Furthermore, Madame Xia, His Majesty has summoned you. Please accompany me. What does the emperor want with the female lead? In the original plot, the female lead has been missing for quite some time, and this scene never occurred. Perhaps he wishes to meet his daughter-in-law? Upon meeting the emperor, he stood before a painting, and I dared not gaze too long, knowing only that the figure depicted was a woman. After I had paid my respects, the emperor turned to me and spoke. You must be the wife of Minister Xia and the daughter of General Cheng. There is no need to be anxious in my presence. I merely wish to engage in a casual conversation with you. I have heard you are with child? Yes, Your Majesty, it has been over 7 months. You are soon to become a parent. Might I pose a question that you could answer for me? Being summoned alone and asked a question pertinent to parenthood likely relates to Xia Zhaoheng's lineage. With this in mind, I respectfully replied, Your Majesty is too kind. I shall ponder this matter diligently, though I cannot claim to possess the answers. The emperor took his seat, and with a gesture, a servant brought forth a chair for me to sit behind. After I expressed my gratitude and settled down, the emperor continued. If your child were to be separated from you for many years and you were to meet again, would you recognize them? I contemplated for a moment before responding slowly. I believe that life is but a fleeting few decades, and having children should bring joy to one's side. However, this matter must also consider the child's wishes. They should be informed first. If they desire to be recognized, I would love and protect them to the best of my ability. But if they do not wish to? I paused, prompting the emperor to inquire, what if they do not wish to? Then it is their own choice. After all, if one has not fulfilled their parental duties, they should not impose themselves upon the child as a parent. Huan speaks wisely. After this exchange, the male lead should discover his heritage sooner than in the original plot, which will aid him in dealing with the second prince. Ultimately, the emperor wearily waved his hand, signaling my dismissal. I had assumed that the emperor would take several days to reach a decision. To my surprise, news arrived on the 3rd day following the banquet. The emperor has retained the male lead and disclosed his lineage to him. Did you notice the look in the second prince's eyes when the emperor summoned the male lead? Indeed, it was clear he had nefarious intentions. At that moment, a servant announced that a beggar had just delivered a letter to him, entrusted to be passed on to me. I instructed someone to inspect the envelope for any peculiarities before I opened it. The letter read, Exercise utmost caution around the second Prince Mu Qing'an. Do not venture outside today unless absolutely necessary. It was signed Lin Miao, the supporting character. Why did she send this to the female lead? How does she know Mu Qing'an is a villain? Oh, Lin Miao is looking out for Huan. She is good. Although I was uncertain of Lin Miao's motives in sending this letter, or how she learned of our entanglement with Mu Qing'an, I understood that her message indicated he might take action today, likely against me. Previously, Mu Qing'an had employed various schemes to frame Xia Zhaoheng, attempting numerous assassinations. However, once I learned of Xia Zhaoheng's background, I had warned him to be vigilant against Mu Qing'an, surrounding him with capable guards. Additionally, there was a powerful covert team lurking in the shadows, presumably orchestrated by the emperor. Thus far, Mu Qing'an had never succeeded, but his cunning mind often allowed him to manipulate others while remaining blameless. It seemed that upon witnessing the emperor's retention of Xia Zhaoheng, Mu Qing'an had begun to falter. Despite having the heavenly book to assist me, I felt it prudent to remain vigilant. With this thought, I summoned the steward. Enhance security throughout the estate. Ensure that every gate is closely monitored, and if any suspicious individuals are spotted, they are to be captured immediately. Yes, madam. I prepared thoroughly. Knowing that if Mu Qing'an's people were to breach our estate, I had a secret escape route. Yet, unexpectedly, a decree arrived even faster than Mu Qing'an's minions. The edict declared that Xie Zhaohang was the long-lost third prince, now officially recognized. Why is this development unfolding so rapidly? It was initiated by the male lead. This is his request. By imperial decree. I rose to receive the edict. Thank you, Master Li. Master Li wore a broad smile. Congratulations, princess. Today, His Highness the Third Prince is engaged in discussions with His Majesty and will not be returning to the Xie residence. I advise you to rest well tonight. Following this, a contingent of soldiers surrounded the Xie estate as if it were a fortress. Tonight, a great battle is likely to unfold. The Emperor has long been aware of the Second Prince's intentions to eliminate the male lead and his collusion with the commander of the Imperial Guards to stage a coup. Therefore, the Emperor had secretly commanded a general to station troops outside the city. The Second Prince is now trapped like a fish in a barrel. With that statement, all visions of the heavenly book vanished from my sight. It seemed they believed our story was nearing its conclusion, with tonight marking the final confrontation. As night fell, the city grew quiet, and various factions surged into the capital under the cover of darkness. The first clash of weapons echoed from an unknown location, igniting chaos akin to water splashing into hot oil. I sat within the house, listening to the sounds of battle outside, my heart laden with unease. Soon, the conflict reached the Xie estate. Fortunately, many guards had been stationed outside by the Emperor, and before long, the battle sounds dissipated. I gazed toward the palace, praying for Xie Zhaohang's safe return. After a night of anxious waiting, just as dawn broke, the door swung open from the outside. Upon seeing me seated, Xie Zhaohang rushed in and embraced me. Huan, why haven't you rested? The weight I had carried all night finally lifted, and tears streamed uncontrollably down my face. I was worried about you. You weren't hurt, were you? Xie Zhaohang gently patted my back, soothingly saying, I am unharmed. But it pains me to see you so distressed after a sleepless night. After we shared a moment of tears in his embrace, I pulled away to ask, You are a prince, yet His Majesty has not shown your father any affection over the years. Why do you? Are you asking why I accepted him so readily? He met my gaze, his eyes reflecting a guilt and sorrow I could not comprehend. Last night, I had a dream in which you and I divorced, and I was unable to rescue you from Mu Qing'an, ultimately losing both you and our child. Thus, if the Emperor did not bring this matter up today, I would have raised it myself. I cannot allow the events of that dream to transpire. Thankfully, you never truly divorced me. It turned out he had gleaned the original trajectory of our story from his dream. I slowly began to explain the heavenly book to him. Upon hearing my account, he embraced me once more, his voice trembling with relief. It seems even the heavens do not wish for our separation. It is fortunate that we have resolved our misunderstandings. Had my acceptance of your divorce led to your suffering, I would regret it for life. And it is fortunate you learned everything from the heavenly book, sparing you the torment of witnessing those heart-wrenching scenes. Otherwise, how heartbroken you would have been. Eventually, we fell into a deep slumber in each other's arms. The outcome of the battle was evidently Mu Qing'an's defeat. He was demoted to commoner status and exiled to a distant land. Not long after, I gave birth to a son, whom we named Mu Sheng, and the Emperor bestowed the title of Crown Prince upon Xie Zhaohang. When our Mu Sheng turned 3, the Emperor passed away, and Xie Zhaohang ascended to the throne. He honored me as Empress and, disregarding the counsel of his ministers, abolished the selection of concubines, keeping only me in the harem. I once asked him, When did you fall in love with me? He replied, I caught a glimpse of you at the border in my youth, and from that moment, you were etched in my heart. Years later, Xie Zhaohang, ignoring Mu Sheng's disapproval, abdicated the throne in his favor and took me on journeys to explore the breathtaking landscapes of our land. Exhausted from the trials of life, I chose to retreat to a quaint little courtyard, embracing a mundane existence akin to that of an ordinary couple. After sufficient respite, we would embark on our journey anew, hand in hand, savoring the remaining years together. In this epilogue, I am Lin Miao, the second child in my family. My parents, in their endeavor to amass a dowry for my younger brother, sold me to a cruel widower in the village. The first half of my life was marred by the abuse of my parents and brother, while the latter half was plagued by the torment of my husband. Fortunately, I was granted a second chance at life, and once again, I encountered the fainted youth, whom I had overlooked in my previous existence. In my past life, I had watched as a lavishly attired girl came to his rescue. Later, I learned that he had excelled in his studies and traveled to the capital for the imperial examinations. Although I lost track of him after he departed from the borders, I believed that such a remarkable individual would surely thrive. Thus, in this new life, I resolved to become a nefarious figure who seized the destinies of others. I managed to save him before that girl could, and indeed, he achieved scholarly success. I then penned a letter, entreating him to bring me to the capital in gratitude for my assistance. Upon my arduous journey to the capital, I was disheartened to discover that he had been betrothed by the emperor to none other than the very girl who had saved him in my previous life. He frequently sent me silver and provisions, and whispers began to circulate that I was the object of his affections. Yet, I was acutely aware that his heart belonged entirely to her, and his love for her ran deep. Though I could not fathom why he had become enamored with her from just a fleeting glance before he fainted, I understood that the freedom I now possessed was something I had yearned for throughout my previous existence. At one point, I contemplated whether to indulge my desires by compelling Xie Zhaoheng to take me as a concubine. However, I recognized that he would never acquiesce, and I was unwilling to squander the hard-won life I had finally grasped, merely to languish in a back courtyard. Thus, when Mu Chungan approached me, seeking an alliance, I feigned agreement while discreetly sending a letter to the Xie residence. It seemed that Mu Chungan was at his wit's end. I had anticipated that he would confront me regarding my failure to lure Cheng Suihuan out, yet to my surprise, the following day, he was demoted to a commoner. Once all was settled, Cheng Suihuan sought me out, expressing her gratitude for the letter I had sent her. I knew that the letter bore little significance, yet she sincerely thanked me. Such a trivial kindness could easily sway the couple's sentiments. With the property deeds they gifted me, I opened a shop, becoming self-sufficient and navigating life with ease. The son of the apothecary next door often came to assist me. I accepted his kindness, married him, and bore a son and a daughter, leading a life of humble contentment. In my second life, I once contemplated living grandly, wielding power, or amassing wealth rivaling nations. Yet, I had been an ordinary person in my past life, and the life of an average individual does not unfold like the grand tales in storybooks. It is merely a modest satisfaction that surpasses all. Thus concludes this tale. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to our next story together.